Hi, my name is David Self. This is my presentation for EDL 853, Module number 3, Special Education Interviews. The persons interviewed for this assignment were a paraprofessional who leads a special needs ministry at a local church. They have worked in the public education field before, but not currently. I also interviewed a high school special education teacher and an assistant principal at a local high school. Not the same high school, but he currently oversees the special education department. Question number 1 asked about child find procedures for identifying special needs students. The paraprofessional stated that they use any kind of previous reports of abnormal behavior regarding the student. This could come from the school, a daycare, or the church that they're at, and they usually do not do any kind of screening until before the age of 3. The high school teacher stated that they work with a referral system that usually comes from other teachers, and that there are evaluations conducted by the school psychologist and the school social worker, but those are not done until there is parental consent. The administrator stated that at his school, they have what they call a problem-solving team. He is on this committee along with the school psychologist and the school social worker, and they work off referrals from other teachers along with the parents, and then they look at data and determine if additional testing is needed. Question number 2 asked what do they find to be the most challenging part of their role with regards to special education and why. The paraprofessional said that probably the biggest challenge for her was not being able to really implement the comprehensive care that was needed, and that was based on just not having enough resources or parental training. The high school teacher stated that her biggest challenge was having a real understanding of the needs of a special education student and making sure that she met those needs. She also stated that her classroom environment can be quite challenging because a lot of times she has students that are on many different levels regarding special needs. Some have behavior concerns, some are emotional issues, but just having to adapt and modify her daily lesson plans to meet all those different levels was probably her most challenging part. The administrator stated that the most difficult part for him, or most challenging part, was the difficulty in keeping up with the ever-changing laws and regulations of special education. He did point out, however, that his building and district provided an excellent support staff to assist him in that area. Question number 3 is, what is the most rewarding part of their job when dealing with special education students, parents, and other teachers, and why? The paraprofessional stated that she really has a sense of fulfillment in serving those parents of that special needs child. She stated that just providing that 1 to 2 hours of relief a week, it really allows her to feel like she's doing something rewarding. She stated that it can be very difficult to have a special needs child. She understood that, so providing that 1 hour of relief for those parents is the most rewarding part. The teacher stated that just being able to help any student in need, and that it's not always about academics. Sometimes it's just about social and emotional issues as well. But she's also not only a teacher of special needs children, she's the parent of a special needs child. And she felt like that provided her an understanding and support that she could give the family and understanding where they're coming from and the issues they face. The administrator stated the most rewarding part of his job was seeing a special education student graduate with the skills to be successful. Question number 4 was, what advice did they have on supervision of special educational staff? And the paraprofessional stated that just keeping good records and documentation was the advice they would give. Be consistent with communications with families, whether that's through emails, phone calls, or whatever it might be. The special education teacher stated that just maintaining a regular communication with administration and other staff is very important. They said to make sure to attend special education department meetings and to visit classrooms regularly, not necessarily just for evaluations and observations. Build those relationships, get in the classrooms so that the staff and the kids see you. The administrator stated that just let the special education department teachers know that you realize they have a very stressful and difficult job. He said to make sure and just listen sometimes. Maybe not provide any feedback, but just hear them out when they're, and be an ear for them to sometimes relieve that stress. Question number 5. How do they work effectively with parents of special needs children? The paraprofessional talked about, just reiterated that regular contact with parents and families. The special education teacher talked about being more positive than negative during those interactions, and to make sure that you address any challenges you have with the student in a very respectful way. She talked about including their strengths, what the kids can do as opposed to what they can't do. I thought one thing that was really striking in this interview, as not only a special education teacher, she's also a special needs parent, as I said earlier. And she recalled the time she said when she was in an IEP meeting with her son, and the teacher told her to just do the best you can with him and keep him clean. And she said that just really was a catalyst for her to be a stronger special education teacher herself. The building administrator talked about building relationships based on trust and openness in regards to working with parents. Question number 6. How do they work with regular education teachers with students of special needs? And the paraprofessional said that she always felt like it was important to have a face-to-face contact with that teacher. She thought that was very important to be able to convince the teacher that the student can be successful in that class, as opposed to just a copy of an IEP or an email sent saying that you're going to have the student and here's his needs. She really felt that was important, that face-to-face contact. The special education teacher talked about just really stress communication. Discuss the IEP, the goals, or anything that can assist that teacher to help them understand the student. And the administrator, he talked about the class within a class program that we have in our district. He said he thought it was important to be able to provide the support with paraprofessionals and even lower class sizes for those regular education teachers. Question number 7 is, what advice did they have for a first-year administrator in regards to special education? And the paraprofessional stated to just, that first year, be a strong communicator and just learn. Open your eyes and learn. Get in the classroom and observe and learn as much as you can. Absorb as much knowledge as you can about special education. The teacher stated that let the special education teachers know you appreciate them. Offer kind words and compliments that can make a huge difference. And then the administrator said, just take lots of notes, document everything. Don't go in there making a lot of changes. He said, make minimal changes until you've built strong relationships with that staff. Question number 8. How do they describe the role of the special education teacher and the building principal? The paraprofessional said that both need to have a belief that all students can learn. And the teacher stated that make sure you have a belief that all students are important to the school community and have a consistent expectation for all students in the school, regardless of their level of need. The administrator, he stated to make sure that you listen before you react. Be a problem solver, but make sure you're listening and only offer solutions if they're asked for. And question number 9, what characteristics do they seek in aspiring administrators with regards to special education? The paraprofessional stated they wanted to see someone who was open to accepting all students regardless of their level of need. The teacher stated that they thought that it was important for an administrator to be compassionate and understanding of special education students. And the administrator said he's going to look for someone that's a problem solver and not afraid to work hard. He said that the level of work that goes into managing a special education program was well beyond what he ever anticipated, and so he's looking for someone that's not afraid to get in there and work hard. As far as my personal reflection on the assignment and the interviews, it made me realize that I don't know as much about special education as I should right now. I also come to the conclusion that it requires continuous education, constantly being able to learn more. And I think it's a lot tougher and more stressful a job than I thought it was. And I also realized that in reflecting on this, that I shouldn't be afraid to lean on resources or those who have more experience than I do. And also, I've come to the realization that working with special education can be very rewarding, but it can also be very challenging. And I also learned through this interviews that there's a huge importance on documentation of interactions with parents and families and those students. My evaluation on the answers for my interviews, in comparing and contrasting their answers, they all stressed communication at some level, whether it was with families and parents, whether it was with teachers or other administrators. They all talked about documentation, recording any kind of interaction that I have with any parent, any family, or just with that student. And they all talked about relationships. I thought this was one overall thing that was really important. All three provided an answer in regards to this as being very important to the aspects of dealing with special education. The paraprofessional talked about meeting face to face with teachers as opposed to the impersonal way that email can be sometimes. The special education teacher talked about being compassionate for special education and understanding students with special needs. And then the administrator talked about just listening sometimes, being an open ear to someone who needs to relieve a little stress. And I thought those were all very important aspects and that came out of this, important answers that came out of these interviews. My personal projection regarding special education for myself as a future administrator, I want to make sure that I'm knowledgeable. I want to make sure that I know special education and have an idea of what takes place there. I want to make sure that I maintain a realization that special education students are an integral part of the school community. They're just as important as any other student. And I want to make sure that I stay educated on the current laws and regulations about special education. I want to constantly be a student of those things. I want to make sure that I provide support and maintain a positive working relationship with my special education staff. I want them to know that I have an understanding of their difficult, stressful job, and that I'm a part of that team as well, and will do anything I can to assist them. And I want to make sure that I'm familiar with my district support and staff and departments in regards to special needs students. I think that it's important to utilize those resources and the staff, like the administrator that I interviewed said. Don't be afraid to go to those people and ask for help when it's needed. Thank you very much for watching this video. This is my presentation for EDL 853 module number 3.